There's an old saying in Tennessee, maybe it's in Texas too, it's fool me once, shame on. See, you can't fool me again. That was a paraphrased quote, incorrectly quoted quote from former President George Bush. But we were fooled again with Five Nights at Freddy's 2, a movie that didn't actually really fool us because we pretty much knew what we were getting.
Yeah.
But we watched it for the memes. And it was Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Aiden, what's the plot of Five Nights at Freddy's 2?
Josh Hutcherson is still raising his sister, who really misses the ghosts of the dead children that were in the robots in the first movie. So she goes to the other Freddy's. And the other Freddy's has a different ghost who is a girl who's killed by Matthew Lillard at some point in the past, who's an evil puppet who can control the other robots to be evil. And then she sends the evil robots out into the world to kill Newman from Seinfeld. And no one else. Everyone else survives. And then the ghost children come back as the old Freddy's and beat up the new evil Freddy's. And then the ghost possesses the girlfriend character, whose name I don't remember. Connor, what'd you think of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the first Five Nights at Freddy's you've seen?
I saw the first Five Nights at Freddy's. I slept through like 30% of it. I saw 70% of the first Five Nights at Freddy's.
It's a generous assessment.
I saw like the first half and like the last fifth. So,
Okay.
do that math. It's like 60% or something. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was... I mean, these are horror movies that are supposed to be allowed... They're supposed to be made for kids. The demographics on Five Nights at Freddy's doesn't really make sense to me. People younger than me like Five Nights at Freddy's, like 5-6 years younger than me, but I feel like all those kids have since like grown into adults.
Yeah?
Because they all like Five Nights at Freddy's as children in like 2015 or whatever. So why they still make this so child-centric when I don't know if children actually play Five Nights at Freddy's anymore, because I haven't heard of any kids playing it anymore. It's kind of bizarre to me. It's supposed to basically be like a Blumhouse PG-13 horror movie, but even more dumbed down so that you could technically bring a kid in as a baby's first horror movie. As a result, there's really no stakes and not much scary things happen. But then it's also super self-referential, presumably, to the series. I've never read the novels. I've never played the game.
Well, the games don't have any of the lore in them. The games just have the implicational lore, so you have to read the 900 junior lore novels to understand the plot of these shit-ass movies.
Well, yeah, which is strange. But, like, you have moments like Josh Hutcherson having to put the Freddy mask on so that they think he's an animatronic so they don't kill him. And I presume that had to have been a mechanic in one of the games. They kind of had this forced... This whole movie is kind of weird, because shit just kind of happens and then is dropped. At the start of the movie, our lead little child has befriended a different child. And you're like, okay, so they're going to be like buddies. But this kid's like 3 years younger than her, and like, no offense to the kid. Probably the worst child actor I've ever seen. I don't know why they kept him. It was really just...
Well, if he had more scenes, they cut him, because he appears for like 4 minutes.
He appears for like 4 minutes at the start to dump exposition about how mean Seinfeld guy was, Newman. And then it's like... There's a bunch of weird scenes. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Mad Men daughter, gets possessed by the ghost, and like 2 of her buddies die off screen. Yeah. And there's kind of just the presumption of stuff that's scary, but not even in like a very good atmospheric way. It's like they cut right before the jump scare. Like there's the lead up, there's the build up to a jump scare, and they're like, well, that would be intense for kids. So cut to black, and the implication is this character is dead. Newman from Seinfeld is kind of the closest we get to an overt kill, and he like gets his head squeezed, and then it goes to black. I don't know. The hard thing that makes
gets
it
eaten by the Funko Pops.
The hard thing that makes it really boring is like even like you look at some of the more vapid, like even Halloween movies, for example. Like eventually they killed off Jamie. You know, in the second Friday the 13th movie, they killed off Alice. There was some level of like once a character no longer had use, they could die. And a lot of horror movies, you know, still have that where there's like some level. I think Blumhouse is probably the worst offender of like, well, we can't kill off any of the leads unless you kill them off in like the first 30 minutes and they come back as a spooky ghost. That's allowed. But here it's like, I don't know. There's a few times there's implications that scary things may or may not have happened. But for the most part, they shy away from doing anything scary.
Yeah.
A lot of this is like weird Five Nights at Freddy's lore that I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's very deep into the lore, which is weird because you're trying to make this like mass appealing like PG-13 horror movie that is PG-13 on the low end, you know? It's not like we're pushing the boundaries of PG-13 so that teenagers who wouldn't be allowed into our movies can buy it but still be like scared, you know? Like M3 Gan, for example, was a movie that the original more than the sequel, but was like, okay, this is an R-rated horror movie, but we're gonna neuter it a little bit in place so that it's an R-rated horror movie, but we can call it. But the MPAA will let us. Like, at what point do we have to cut to get this PG-13? And the MPAA is like, well, if you just cut here, you know, so there's just a little blood and a little jump scare, then it's fine. But this is like, we're going to cut long before the jump scares. There's the Freddy Fazbear restaurant. I can't, like, also, like, I can't take it that seriously when, like, they're like, we got to go to the pizzeria. Oh, you didn't know about the original Freddy Pizzeria? You didn't know about the original pizzeria?
The secret first pizzeria.
The pizzeria, Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria, is bad. And there's all these autistic children who have hyperfixation on the Fazbears. I also just, as Aiden said, I've slept through a portion of the first movie, but I by and large watched it, and I have virtually no memory of it. But she's like, I miss the ghost children. I remember Matthew Lillard came back and was like, I'm the evil guy.
He was the evil robot man.
There was like this like level of like minor supernatural, but still like an actual antagonist. This movie's like, well, there's the ghost lady who for some reason possessed the marionette doll. But then, for some reason, the doll doesn't work, so she has to possess the Sabrina the Teenage Witch, whose career must have just fallen off. Because, like, a lot of people in this feel like they fell off. Like, Matthew Lillard, 12 seconds in this movie, in flashback scenes and dream sequences. I'm sure. But then you got, like, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She's in, like, 3 minutes without a costume. And then she's put in demon makeup for like 3 more additional minutes, and then she kind of just disappears. And then you have Megan Fox voices one of the robots, along with YouTuber MatPat. Like former movie star Megan Fox is resigned to a a fairly important voice. Like she's an actor. She's a principal actress in this movie by voicing one of the robots, and you would never know it was Megan Fox. It just, it sounds like Kim Kardashian or any of those like
could have been anyone
2000s California slang Jersey Shore ass like rich girl voices. So like it could have been anyone, but like this was at one point a movie star, and now she's resigned to this. And even like at least Josh Hutcherson and whatever was kind of just like a B-list actor that was working under Jennifer Lawrence in those Hunger Games movies. So like him leading the fairly relatively impossible to fail Five Nights at Freddy's movies is like,
Yeah.
It's like that's not the biggest fall off, but there's somewhere it's like, why is Sabrina the Teenage Witch featured extra in this movie? Like other stuff, it was kind of sad, but I don't know. Like, it had all the jump scare noises. It actually had a lot of cliched sound effects, which kind of bothered me.
It did have one real jump scare that Connor missed because he had diarrhea.
Yeah, I did have to shit right during the climax. So
there was one real jump scare where the marionette turned into a CGI ghost and then jumped at the screen and said "Ooga Booga."
I don't know if that marionette is in the shows or like
sure
in
it's
the
in
books
the fucking
and shit.
books.
But like, the marionette was really weird to me because stylistically it was like sort of like a female Slender Man, but like had like Japanese like geisha influences for some reason, and then the rest of them are like spooky mascot bears.
For Chuck E. Cheese.
For Chuck E. Cheese. Like, the rest of them are, like, Chuck E. Cheese characters, so you're like, okay, I kind of get it. It's like a riff on Chuck E. Cheese. Whatever. But then, like, the marionette character was like, why are you doing, like, a Slender Man, ancient Japanese geisha thing? What is this? This character, like,
maybe it
thematically...
makes sense if you read the 35 children's junior lore novels.
Maybe. Is this all canon? Like, is this all just one continuity, like Star Wars?
Yeah, it's canon. It's written by Scott Hawthorne. He's like, these movies are crucial to understanding the lore.
So you have to read the movie. You have to watch the movies to read the lore novels. Read the lore novels to understand the movies, and then the games are also somehow a factor.
No,
Freddy
the games are not a factor. The games don't have any lore. They're just bad jump scare games where you look at a screen
even like
on
the
a
more
screen.
modern ones, like
Yeah,
Five
even
Nights
the
at
more-
Freddy's 9 VR 9.
Yeah, no, those are the same where you just look at a screen on a screen and then you press a button when the monster comes to close the door to put on the Freddy mask to scare away the...
There was
Freddy.
like Josh Hutcherson doing he had to do the Five Nights at Freddy's iconic thing, and by iconic I mean it's the part that everybody knew about always, where he like sits in a room and does the security room, but it's barely plot relevant.
No.
Because like
It
once
doesn't make any fucking
they didn't
sense.
know what to do, so they're like, okay, so he's gonna like monitor the people, and his girlfriend's gonna have to find and beat up all these guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, I guess he's like a computer hack wizard or something. But he can't figure out the computer at all. She's driving around town fast and he can figure out the computer. And then he just eventually, when it becomes boring that he's just sitting there, they're like, actually, he just shut off all the animatronics, but they're not actually shut off.
Yeah, they're possessed by a ghost.
Yeah.
Some of them.
I don't understand why. There was the crucial plot moment where they lured the child to type in the password so they could leave the Freddy Fazbear restaurant, because for some reason there was like an invisible fence that would keep them in there, like a dog or something. But they had to like deactivate that so it'd work, but then he deactivates them anyways, and it's like, actually that didn't deactivate them at all. It's like, well, if they're possessed by ghosts and their own internal rules don't matter, then why did they just always... It's like Jurassic Park, The Lost World, or whatever. Not The Lost World. Was it the third one where they go to New York?
Yeah.
You know, the Fazbears are out in suburban Georgia, or wherever the fuck they filmed this.
Probably Georgia. You get good tax breaks out there, or maybe Ontario or something.
It said right away at the credits for some reason. They must have got one hell of a tax write-off, like the state paid for the whole movie or something, because it was like right away. It was top billing over Megan Fox and Matt Pat. How would you feel to be Megan Fox? Like, I was a star once, and now like my name is just above Matt Pat in the credits. YouTuber Matthew
Under
Patrick.
Matt Pat.
Under Matthew Patrick in the credits. I'm billed 82nd under Matthew Patrick.
The
I
real
used to be
question
Shia
is-
LaBeouf's girlfriend in two Transformers movies.
Will Markiplier finally make his cameo in Five Nights at Freddy's 3?
There weren't really that many YouTuber cameos in this one. The first one I felt like was like any YouTuber
any fucking
Who's
guy who
willing
wanted
to show up or could potentially cause people to have diabetic episodes in the movie theater can show up. And that wasn't just making fun of the whole fan base. There was somebody who had like a diabetic attack next to us during the first one when Matt Pat showed up. It was pretty crazy.
I think what actually caused her to have the diabetic attack was the 7 boxes of cookie dough bites she inhaled before the trailers, but the Matt Pat cameo probably didn't help.
Yeah, I mean, now mind you, we're probably on our like 3rd soda, but our heart didn't get really racing from Matt Pat. Maybe when I see Baby Grogu at the new Mandalorian and Grogu movie in a couple months, my heart will start beating, you know?
There's probably whole cookie dough bites floating around in her bloodstream when she started screaming about Matt Pat. Yeah, nothing like that at this movie. Everyone was just kind of
silent,
bored.
Maybe there were some children in like the front row, so I guess there must be some like level of children who like.
Yeah, I'm sure someone still makes like Five Nights at Freddy's Roblox fan games or something.
Yeah, they don't play the real things, they play the Roblox editions.
Oh my, still chewing on that chicken nugget.
It's just been her muse today. Anyways, Aiden, what did you think of Five Nights at Freddy's 2?
Realistically, it's probably a slightly better movie than the first one. It's marginally better made, marginally less boring. Connor left right as it tried to be a horror movie for a minute. Not a good one, mind you, but the little girl turned into a CGI ghost and the Freddy punched out a window. And that was like all of the horror in the movie. And then the little ghost children came in the bodies of the other Freddys and beat up the evil Freddys.
They went to heaven.
Yeah, then they went to heaven. This shit's like borderline inscrutable. If you haven't read all the lore novels, because for some reason when the little boy's going to heaven, he looks at Josh Hutcherson and says, I use my powers to keep Matthew Lillard dead, but he's going to come back to life now that I'm going to heaven because I punched evil Freddy.
You think that's explained in the lore novels?
I'm sure it is, man.
The Bite 87.
Like, if I had read all the books, would I understand why Matthew Lillard is coming back to life because Freddy went to heaven?
Was there a lore novel explanation on why Matthew Lillard in this movie had his pants pulled up to his nipples? Did you notice that?
Yeah.
The scene where he's chasing her around?
I don't know what that was about. That was a really weird sequence, too, where Josh Hutcherson was like, you should dream about your dad, and then you can kill him in your dream.
Fucking murdering your dad again.
And then that
your
doesn't
PTSD
go anywhere.
will go away. She tried to shoot somebody at Pilate on Pilates.
And then the villain is her secret brother, who's also Matthew Lillard's son, because she's Matthew Lillard's daughter. And he's just like, I'm gonna continue Dad's work by making the evil ghost girl turn your sister into an evil clown doll woman who can control the robots. Like, this shit's fucking inscrutable. You have to read like 1,000 lore novels to understand why Freddy going to heaven lets Matthew Lillard come back to life. And this movie has like the mid-cool problem of nothing happens in this fucking movie, and then at the end they're like, but if you watch the third one, Matthew Lillard's gonna come back to life as the evil rabbit. And it's going to be probably, this one might actually be a horror movie or something.
This is like a cliffhanger. This is part 1. This is part 1 of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, part 1 and 2.
Yeah, this is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, part 1, the prequel to Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. Yeah, I mean, it's a better movie than the first one, marginally. it's still really bad and also really boring. And basically as inscrutable if you don't understand the lore, which I don't. Yeah. And I don't plan on understanding it for the third movie that I will see.
I know, we will see it, probably. More likely than not.
It's a PG Blumhouse horror movie that they convinced the MPAA to make PG-13.
Do you think the MPAA hates to see them coming? They're like, oh, this thing's probably going to be R and they need to move it down to PG-13. They're like, no, this is a PG. How can we make this more violent? Like, you have to show at least one death. And they're like, fuck, man. You have to have, like, throw a couple swear words in there.
Someone get the cheapest Seinfeld cast member in here to die somewhat on screen.
Somewhat on screen. Get ADR in some swear words. We can't get that kid back. We don't remember his name. We didn't save it in our Rolodex, our movie Rolodex. And they're like, that's okay. ADR.
Megan Fox being in this movie as Sexy Chica is really funny. Not like funny in the way that it makes the movie better, but it's just kind of funny without seeing the movie. Because the movie's a fucking slog.
Yeah.
Connor, would you recommend Five Nights at Fredward's 2?
Well, no. I came in expecting not to recommend it. It's not something I usually like to do. Sometimes it happens, but in this case, it was such an obligatory watch, and I don't know why I felt obliged to watch this movie, but now I definitely feel obliged to watch the third movie.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you guys should have to carry the burden of that obligation that I apparently do. So, no, I wouldn't recommend it at all. It was fucking stupid. Yeah. Aiden. Oh, you know what? I have a question. Does this feel like a Willy's Wonderland mockbuster?
No, because Willy's Wonderland
also bad.
Also a bad movie, but Willy's Wonderland was just like Nick Cage. They couldn't afford to have Nick Cage speak, so he just punches a bunch of robots, which is objectively more exciting than this entire movie.
I like how Willy's Wonderland was like Chris Columbus, director of the first 3 Harry Potters, and for some reason upcoming well, I guess not for some reason, he wrote the first 2 the first Gremlins movie, so he's directing the third because Joe Dante won't do it, or he's dead. Is Joe Dante dead?
No,
I didn't think he was. Joe Dante won't do it, so Chris Columbus is coming back, but he was going to direct this. And I think the first movie was supposed to come out like a year and a half earlier, but it was kind of stuck in development hell.
It was supposed to come out like 6 years earlier. It was supposed to come out like the year after Five Nights at Freddy's got big, but
I think
Scott Hawthorne, who made the games, kept rewriting the script because he was autistic, and Chris Columbus was like, we need to make this like a real horror movie and have things happen. And he's like, no, it has to be the most boring dog shit lore movie that's ever existed. Yeah. Chris Columbus quit.
Yeah. I think the Willy's Wonderland, I think both were supposed to drop. I think both of them were supposed to drop in like 2020 or something, or maybe Willy's Wonderland was meant to capitalize after, but I think Willy's Wonderland was expressly designed to be a mockbuster that for some reason Nicolas Cage agreed to do, but didn't agree to talk in. I kind of forgot about that movie. I don't own the Five Nights at Freddy's movies. I did buy Willy's Wonderland from the Red Box. So that movie's old is new enough, or is old enough that you could buy it from the Red Box. Neither of these movies are. But no, Aiden, would you recommend Five Nights at Freddy's 2?
No. It's boring.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you know, maybe the third movie will tie it all together.
Maybe the third movie will be so good it'll all come together and you're like, okay, wait, there's actually some genius.
Now I actually understand why Freddy going to heaven meant that Matthew Lillard could come back to life.
Yeah. Well, since he was blocking the gates of hell by remaining in purgatory, he was a vengeful spirit trapped on Earth to try to barricade the gates of hell so that Matthew Lillard couldn't come back alive.